Welcome to Beacon of Creation, a weekly podcast on game design through the lens of Magic the Gathering. I'm Tim.
And I'm Bradley Rose, otherwise known online as Bradley Rose.
And I'm Provocative, shortened to Prov.
Yeah, we got the runner-up and the winner of the latest Design League, Provocative, showing up, kicking everyone's butt.
Woohoo!
And when we do that, I always like to also get a little bit of kind of like the designers' heads if we can. So we managed to get both of you onto a pod, and I'm really excited to learn from what you both went through to be part of this competition.
Great. I'm excited to go into it.
Before we jump into that, have you done competitions before? Have you designed a lot of Magic cards? Do you have your own sets or anything like that? Just a little overview on that kind of stuff. Maybe Brad first.
Hey, Bradley Rose here. I co-founded the podcast that you're listening to here. I also started Mocktober that happens each year. If you've seen the 11th edition videos, I've edited those. Although mostly it's Tim that's talking, and I'm in one of the episodes. But yeah, that's me. That's me.
And I'm Provocative. I've made about 10 sets under my belt, so I'm not exactly... Yes, it's quite a few. I was a finalist in MSC Survivor Season 5, I want to say, and then the winner of Card Coliseum 2, which also takes place over in the MSC channel.
Yeah. 10 sets, holy cow.
Yeah.
Well, I did not say they were all good, but there are definitely 10.
Putting in the miles, though.
Yeah, it's kind of my thing over in the Magic set editor. They're like, oh, that's Provocative. He's the one who's making a set every other month. And yeah, guilty. It's a fun time to work with other people on these things, get all the collaboration in.
Do you like to just go away in the cave for a weekend and emerge with 150 cards? What's your style?
I mean, yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll take a weekend off and just be like, all right, I got my set concept here. I got my idea that I kind of want to do. Let's just go ahead and start making as many designs as possible. They're not all going to be good.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of them on the page, and I'm sure we'll get some gold out of there, right? And then we just kind of sift through, improve the designs that we can.
Yeah.
It's just a good time, going through it all.
Wow. You're kind of built for this kind of competition then, because it's hey, you got a week to do this.
I was thinking a week for 13 cards? Oh, this is just every other week. This is going to be great.
This is to
be honest,
the CrossFit marathon running athlete saying, oh yeah, this is...
Yeah, I was just my muscles are trained for this. I got this.
You might be the first person on the Design League breakdowns who said, oh, this was plenty of time. Awesome. Loving it. All right, so the Design League, you get more and more cards as you go along, from 1 card to 2 to 7 or 8, and then you had to design a whole standard deck this time around. We have 2 episodes kind of breaking down each of the decks, so I don't want to break down the whole challenge. There's a lot of different pieces, like restrictions about how you had to get started, but I think that'll come out in the discussion. And I thought maybe we start with the runner-up here, Brad. One of the things I wanted to think about here is, you had to have a card named Builder-Bear, you had to have some artifact sacrifice. Where did you start? What were you thinking when you were just dipping your toe into this challenge?
I started off with with Builder-Bear itself, because that's the one known card. From there, I just I guess I'm more mechanics driven, so I just went with iterating on Builder-Bear first with various mechanical expressions of what Builder-Bear would be about. V1 of Builder-Bear was, when it enters, put a brick counter on something. From bringing that back from Amonkhet.
It's like a construction worker bear.
Yeah. And then going into different the different types of building. One of the Builder-Bears builds communities.
Oh,
it's yeah.
Awesome.
I think it literally says when you build up a community. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, so I that's where I went
Holy
first.
Holy cow! Yeah, you got the example here. Builder-Bear V20. You had 20 versions of this card? That's incredible.
It just looked kind of rapid. It takes maybe, I think between versions, you might see me every 5 minutes, a new version comes out.
Prov, is that kind of similar to what you're doing? You're just knocking out a bunch of revisions right in a row?
Yeah, I don't think unfortunately, I don't save the different versions. I wish I had. That's actually a really good idea to keep for the future. But I'm just like iterating on the same design over and over. And then, if you hit a wall, you kind of just restart and go back to the beginning. But,
Yeah, I guess that kind of makes sense.
all
You're going to
iterative.
need like a more than like a 13 cards. So work on one for a while, get stuck, work on another one for a while. Oh, that inspires you back for the first one. Did you get 13-ish cards going, or were you like, I'm going to nail the first couple, Brad, and then move on once you've done that?
No, I since there's like different requirements, in addition to the cards, it's like, hey, show that you have distinct identity of sets. And then there's of course the mechanics. I was already working on that with the bear. And so with the various requirements, whenever I would run into like a rut or get stuck on like the Builder Bear part, the next thing I did was like, what do standards look like? I thought, how many sets in a standard environment are a return plane and how many are new planes? Yeah. So then I just went and looked through that and I was like, okay, I think I can get at least one, maybe two return planes. And then I looked through all the artifact heavy sets. So I was like, do I go back to Alara, etc.? And I settled on just picking Kaladesh, so I knew I would have that.
Maybe we can get a rundown for you had 4 in your submission, 4 sets?
Yeah, I mentioned the Kaladesh return one. Now, because it's a submission of a deck that shows a peek into the sets, what I didn't want to do was hardline myself into certain things that you might expect with the return back to Kaladesh, and in particular with energy. I was like, I don't want to mention if energy is back or not, because Modern Horizons 3 just returned energy, and I don't know if a judge will either be energy exhausted or if I don't include it and say that it's not coming back, if someone would be like, but Kaladesh and energy is the best thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just went, all right, so there's Artifact Sacrifice and Gremlins are in Kaladesh. They like to eat artifacts. So that's what I'm going to bring back is Artifacts and Gremlins.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it makes sense. Even if you had like a standard with 2 Innistrad sets, you could have a standard deck that has no transform cards in it, and it wouldn't be that weird.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right, next up, I think my favorite maybe was the Tubular Times at Galaxy Mall. Give me the pitch for this.
What started it is the Builder Bear name. It reminded me of Build a Bear Workshop, which you might find at the mall often. And I went, okay, perfect. So we're gonna do a mall plane. So it's like imagine Duskmorn, but instead of feeling like you're trapped in there and it's a gloomy place, instead you might feel like you were excited to go to the mall and you feel free and you're having a great time at the mall. Because malls are kind of they're different now compared to before. So I tied into that with like, hey, this is an 80s, 90s nostalgia, like Stranger Things type of thing. Yeah.
Did you have anything else from the Galaxy Mall that concepts you were thinking about or flavor or anything like that? Because I think that was the one I wanted more of.
So when you're at the mall, you might go. There's like one of the shops might be the candy shop that has like a ton of different candies you can like put into your bag and such. So that was like the Candy Goif.
Okay.
And that one was also with like, I sort of used the nostalgia of the plane, like get people into a reminiscent mood as a way for me to make up for my weakness in this challenge. That when it was mentioned that it's standard constructed design, I'm like, this is the worst challenge for me. This is like, I am not good at making I don't play enough constructed, and I don't. So I thought if I just kind of copy what's been done, what we've seen before, but do a different twist. We've seen Tarmogoyf. Let me do Candy Goyf, and that was a reference to that.
Because you're doing a nostalgic set. Also, let's throw in some references to Magic stuff. You had a couple more. The Brawl Stadia Let's Rock. That feels like a very Bradley set concept. I don't know why. I don't know.
You're right. It is my favorite one. So I just wanted to do, like, I was thinking Battle of the Bands. Some of it just comes from your own like identity or what you like to see in planes. Like they didn't have to be these. I might have been just imagining how to break like sacrifice artifacts, and I might have been just imagining when you're at the end of a concert, you break your guitar sometimes. That might have been it. The fact that it's on Kylum as a separate thing from Valor's Reach is because Red Bay was like, what if it's called Kylum or whatever, Let's Rock or whatever. And then I was like, oh, I like the name, but oh yeah, Kylum, we could do Kylum. So I just changed the flavor text of one of the cards to say a little Kylum reference there.
Do you think we'd ever get a set with Kylum in the name?
Yeah, I think that's possible.
What does Kylum evoke? Like,
there's no wars going on. Like, people are able to spend their time on their hobbies and interests and pursue things to spend their leisurely time on. Like, they don't have to worry about dying or anything. And so that's why you could do Battle of Bands or do like these little stadium fights that they do with the original Battle Bond.
Honestly, like, I agree. It kind of, Kylum really evokes a feeling of like, this is like a warrior's paradise, right? Like, you can go do whatever you want, and like, it can be violent because like, this is a good society that we have here.
Yeah. If there was a chess tournament world, it would be on Kylum. Anything you want to compete in, go to Kylum. Everything's okay there.
All right, then you had like a post-apocalyptic one.
Yeah, Surviving and Despery. I myself I go, how do I say this? And Despery and Despery. It's a portmanteau of like 3 different words. So the first set, Garapor, is like, okay, I check off return set. The Tubular times the Galaxy Mall and Brawl Stadia Let's Rock. Those are the two that are like, okay, these are the Bradley sets. And then this fourth one is like, okay, the Bradley sets and also Garapor all are like, everything's hunky-dory, whimsical. I was like, okay, I gotta have something that's the antithesis to that. What is not what I tend to make? Like something gritty, something apocalyptic. There's Terminator-like things happening. That's a stark contrast to that, but also as a setting for the mechanic I came up with, Spill Blood.
Yeah, Spill Blood was your like sort of spectacle, but more as a condition rather than a cost.
Yeah, with Spill Blood. So spectacle is like, Prov, you went off of this in one of the previous challenges. It could trigger off of opponents hurting each other. But with Spill Blood, you have to do the hurting yourself. But it was inspired by the. I took a look at Forage from Bloomborough, how you can do one of 2 actions, and one of them involves food tokens. So I was like, well, that's an artifact token. Then there's so many different artifact tokens. I during the Builder Bear thing, I iterated like, all right, what if you take out the trash, and that can be destroy someone, like a destroy target creature, or sacrifice a junk token, right? Then I settled on, okay, what if you spill blood, and that is use blood tokens, you sacrifice that if you sacrifice a blood token, or if one of your sources dealt damage to an opponent.
Yeah. I think we had started to have these like kind of batching things. Hey, we need to have 4 creature types, or we have to have like 4 or 3 different ways to trigger something. But maybe the way forward is one of 2 things. It is the Forage. It is the Spill Blood. Maybe that's like a cool way to get a mechanic that's like just useful enough for this limited format, has some legs and constructed, doesn't have to like be a brand new crazy mechanic. It's just, here are a couple cool things that tend to go in the same deck.
Yeah.
You had your 4 sets. Did these had you already designed a lot of the cards, and then you're like, how do I flavor these? Or like, what was the mixture there for you?
I was trying to, I think, fit. The first thing I did was I was like watching. One of the people on the server provided a link to a helpful history of Jund. James, thank you, James. That was very helpful for someone that's new to Constructed and the history of the Jund archetype. And one of the elements that I saw was removal, and I was like, I'm just going to design a bunch of different removal. And along the way, I would come up with like what would be flavorful matches to removal. So we had like, okay, so I'm gonna have maybe an ETB creature, the chupacabra type of thing. I flavored it as like one of the Terminators in the Surviving and Esprit. And then another one was like heavy metal axe. Like if someone gets the axe, like they chop their head off, right? As a double entendre. That's Brawl Stadia. So I put that in there. Yeah, that and then I guess I did removal first. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Alrighty. Were there any like mechanics you tried and then cut?
Yeah. So in the Brawl Stadia set, I guess that's where a lot of my mechanics happened by happenstance. But I played with the idea of mosh pits and like moshing. And so I went through different versions of that, and basically there's it ended up with this card here. I'm going to read off Mosh Pit Enthusiast version 9. 1 and a red and 2/2. Haste Human Fan. It has mosh, which means as it enters, you may have it enter the mosh pit, and moshers can attack creatures but not players. And as a mosher blocks, it leaves the mosh pit. So it's already doing that text with that one playtest card that can attack players. That's already a thing that you cannot do and is already breaking a lot of rules, maybe. And then also like what is entering and leaving the mosh pit. At one point it was, okay, so since you have enters shortened from enters the battlefield, I was like, okay, great. Now we can say you can the enters will trigger even if you go to the battlefield zone or the mosh pit zone. Two separate things, right? Or another iteration is like mosh pit inside of the battlefield, which feels appropriate to how concerts work. So I was playing around with those, but there was so much rules questions. Red Bay had actually just cryptically just said like there was much to ask and about mosh pit while I was like sleeping, and I just woke up to my thread, my work in progress thread, and I just see that and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna scrap this whole thing. It is very complex, and I didn't want to risk. I don't want to risk it. Yeah, so I threw it away.
The goal was sort of like creatures that could attack other creatures, but they opt into it. Is that sort of the vision?
Yeah, so you have this 2/2 haster. The one mode is you can have it enter just normally, and it would just be able to attack the player for 2. The other mode is you can have it enter the mosh pit, and it basically gains provoke, which means you
force
can
things to block,
attack and force a creature to block it, and it cannot hurt players. And then when you're ready, you can have it stop moshing and become a normal behaving creature on the battlefield and have it exit the mosh pit. Yeah.
Okay. I can kind of get into when you say provoke, now my neurons are activated on like a new take on provoke. I like this.
Oh, yeah.
Some forcing blocks. So you locked in a couple of your Builder Bear stuff. You got some of your flavor going. Did you have any like late changes that you kind of put you over the top?
Yeah, I think it was the final day. I was reminded that my total card text line count across all the cards was pretty dense. And one of my previous challenge judge comments was that there was a lot of lines of text. And I was like, okay, even an observer has called this out for this challenge. And I don't want to repeat having dense lines of text. So I did a late sweep through of all the cards and just like cut out, just like snip lines of text to just cut it down. And it ended up with like, I think maybe making some of these cards unexciting. I think the biggest hit was my dragon. It just became it was very simplified, and then I didn't recheck afterwards whether it played well.
Yeah, you're kind of saying, and this was something in a lot of the feedback, was that dragon kind of felt out of place after it felt more like a draft card than a part of this deck.
Yeah.
But it was in service of like a pretty good goal, which is to make sure the cards weren't too overwhelming. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. As a strategy during this, any feedback I got on my cards, I really more heavily leaned on changing it because of my inexperience with the constructed environments. Yeah, I think that was, and yeah, I feel good about doing that as well, because I don't know as much. I mean, I know more now, so that's good.
Yeah, there you go.
But yeah.
All right, yeah. So Prov, let's dive into yours a little bit and try to get an idea of where you started. You also started with Builder Bear, or you start somewhere else?
Yep, I definitely started with Builder Bear. When you look at like decks throughout history that are named around a specific card, they do not function without that card. So I had to go in there and just like make sure it worked. Like if you look in Modern, the Indomitable Creativity deck, for example, does not work without Indomitable Creativity.
Okay.
It's completely neutered. So for me, I was going in this like, okay, I have to design an effect that you don't really see anywhere else for green, and it's a strong build around.
Yeah.
For my Builder Bear, I was like, okay, what's this effect that we haven't really seen in Standard before? So I went through some of the more recent sets to see if there's like anything new that Wizards of the Coast was trying with green. And I was looking through Doctor Who, and I found the card Displaced Dinosaurs.
Oh, yeah.
It's a 7-mana 7/7. Whenever a historic permanent enters under your control, it becomes a 7/7 dinosaur. And I was thinking, like, this works well with artifacts, and that's what this whole challenge is about.
Yeah, the Displaced Dinosaurs card is like, play this dinosaurs, then make a treasure, and now you have 8 7/7s.
Yeah, it gets completely out of hand.
Yeah, so let's make the standard version. Yeah.
I wanted to do something similar. So I was thinking, okay, so first, we definitely have to have this be a bear. 2-mana 2/2, that's the classic bear stat line. It's cute if it makes bears as well with our Displaced Dinosaurs effect, so that came right after. And then I realized that like 2-mana 2/2 that makes 2/2s, that's pretty strong on its own, but it's lacking that like punch. So I added the last ability on Builder Bear, which was whenever another bear you control dies, put a +1/+1 counter on Builder Bear. This is the second time this ability has resolved this turn. Draw a card. And that's like your classic like done to value engine that you use at the end of the game.
Yeah. If you can't get to this specific bear and you try to contain all the other bears, you're going to lose. You're going to fail.
Yeah, you got to take out the ringleader for sure.
Yeah. Did you start to think of what set that might be next, or like where did you go from there?
Honestly, I think the sets kind of came later.
Okay.
I knew going in that first of all, I wanted to use like a specific piece of art for this. I had found really early. It was like this little demon bear protecting a girl, or maybe attacking a girl. I don't know.
Yeah.
The art's a little unclear.
Yeah.
I knew I wanted to do that, so that was probably going to be something to do with like a toy bear. And then after that, I had a bunch of pieces stacked up from a set I've been wanting to make, which is like an Aztec-based set. So that also informed a lot of my designs. That just kind of came together to be like the foundation of the other sets that would come later. I knew I wanted Circus, Aztec, and then whatever came after.
All right, so you were just working on cards then, more so than sets.
Yeah, the flavor kind of came later.
Oh, okay, yeah. How were you thinking about the cards that went with Builder Bear? What were the next couple ones there?
The very next design I made, I was thinking, okay, so if we want to work with Builder Bear, we need to be making artifact tokens. That's the best way to do it. So the next design up was Zotwal Sentinel, which it's a 1-mana 2/1 in red. It says whenever it enters or attacks, you discard a card. If you do, create a relay token. And what relays are is they're a new mechanic I created for this challenge. It says you can pay 3 mana and sacrifice any number of relays to draw that many cards. So it's kind of like a Clue variant.
This one was one of the first ones that we read in the episode about it, and it was kind of crazy to think like, okay, in order for this to enter or attack, you're discarding a card. I guess you could deplete your hand, but if you're playing this on turn 1, you definitely have cards in hand.
I wanted to be a little bold with like having people imagine how this 1-drop influences the whole deck. Like you're thinking, okay, maybe it's like a reanimator thing. Maybe it's just like really aggressive. And you don't really know about Builder Bear or any other cards that take advantage of this yet.
Yeah. And it does say like, hey, you're going to be doing something different when you read this card. You're not just playing like 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop normal creatures. You're doing something a little crazy.
Exactly. Yeah.
Was that relay concept, so that kind of just jumped in right away, and then you're like, hey, I got to use this on another 2 cards or whatever?
Yeah, so relays were, I think, the first mechanic I designed for this. And I was thinking, okay, so relays obviously work well in groups. So we want to have at least one other card. Yeah, so it was actually the card that the set that Sentinel came in was named after, which was Zotan Rise and Fall, and his card, the card was Zotan Sun Scion, which was kind of like a big splashy card of the pack after Builder Bear. His backside also creates relay tokens, so it was kind of like an incentive to like, oh, flip this, and you'll keep synergizing with your Sentinel, and it was kind of like a 1, 2, 3 of Sentinel, Builder Bear, Zotan. That was the ideal curve.
Yeah. And Zotan turns into like a planeswalker on the back, so you're geared up for like a cool card when you got a transforming creature into a planeswalker.
For sure.
One of the things that kind of stood out from your submission is how different the mechanics felt. Like it felt like you had this Inspirit mechanic that's like a kind of animating artifacts mutate style. It felt like Inspirit was like in a totally different set, but it did not share the vibe with like some of your Phyrexian stuff or some of your like relay, Aztec, conquering empire stuff. Were these just mechanics that you came up with, or I guess I'm kind of curious how you ended up with a mechanic like Inspirit.
For Inspirit, the one thing I wanted to like hone in on was the fact that the deck revolves around Builder Bear, which cares about you having artifact creatures. If Builder Bear is the only one doing it, that could be a little unreliable. So I wanted to have another mechanic that turned your non-creature artifacts into artifact creatures. So Inspirit came from that.
Oh, okay.
If I had to change one thing about it, it would probably be like changing it so it worked with artifacts and enchantments, because it was like a little unbelievable that so many sets in a row would only care about artifacts. So I was thinking like if you could split it, like how Wilds of Eldraine has that mechanic Bargain that cares about artifacts, enchantments, and tokens. And then Lost Caverns of Ixalan came out and cares about artifacts. And that's a little nice synergy of like, hey, these both care about artifacts and also some other things. Yeah, because we care about the artifacts here.
That's like a big part of what both of you were shooting for with this challenge, which is like plausible other decks that are all in the same deck, but they're not completely linear. They don't all work exactly perfectly together. You're making some sort of compromises. You don't get to play 8 copies of Build-A-Bear. You get 4 Build-A-Bear, and then you have to, this is a normal standard thing, you have to cobble together the second best thing to do with the Build-A-Bear pieces.
Exactly.
Yeah. That was a really fun thing to read in both these submissions. From your sets, you had the like Cirque de Terror or something, which was where the Build-A-Bear is from, like kind of like Haunted Circus maybe is what it seemed like.
Yeah, that was kind of the plan. It was like going to be like a new thing in Magic where you had like these evil clowns and these like boy bears running around. Yeah. Duskmourn kind of took that from me a little bit, but I'm not too bad. They did come out around the same time, so at least there's that.
And then the Zotan, like the kind of the story of this like conqueror is another set that you had. For
Zotan, it was actually interesting. I wanted to like do a set as a character study, right? Because so many of our sets are set on planes and they're not really focusing on characters. And I was like, okay, so what if we had a set that just focused on this guy Zotan, right? And maybe we can even like hop between different worlds as he like explores and becomes a planeswalker and fully comes into his own as like the devourer of the sun.
Oh yeah, that was another thing, like the multiple ways that the people were hating on the sun in your cards.
Yeah, that is fun. I actually did have like an idea of like this guy would be going around to all these different sets and like trying to eat their sons and they would fight him off. And it would be like this. I didn't really get to lean into it as much as I wanted to, but like it would be like a through line of the year.
Yeah, like an evil Tameo. Like instead of studying moons, we're going to eat sons. Yeah, all right.
Perfect. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. One of the ones that kind of like we were curious about where you were going with it was the card, the Thief Guild Runner, which is like this guy who steals dragon eggs. But your set was Caves of Alto. What was this in your mind?
So I'm a fan of Dungeon Meshi, and I'm very happy you guys brought it up. Yeah, you guys brought it up on the last podcast. I was very happy about that. Yeah. And I want to kind of make a set that was like not like fully just Dungeon Meshi, the Gathering, but inspired by it. Like there was these people that were going in and like grabbing stuff from the caves and bringing them back up to the surface. Like, dragon eggs, maybe they're a delicacy or maybe people have their own dragons that they want to tame. So that was kind of the inspiration behind the card, with the treasure token symbolizing like the dragon egg or the treasure you're stealing away from the caves. And then the 4/4 dragon, the one that, is chasing you, trying to get it back.
Yeah. Holding a dragon egg running through a corridor, dragon chasing you is like something you could definitely imagine in the Dungeon Meshi style.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that's there. Yeah.
I absolutely adore that show. I started watching it a second time. I'm so into it.
Oh, I've gone through it like 3 times at this point. It's so good.
Whenever a fictional world can incorporate characters dying and coming back and having that be like part of how it works, like how the world works, like it's possible to bring, people back. It's you're going on these dangerous dungeon delves, but it's possible, it's not a given that people will find your body and bring you back. Like that kind of danger is just really fascinating.
Yeah, I did actually. In retrospect, I was like, oh, it would have been such a good idea to have like a respawn mechanic. You sacrifice these like artifact creatures and then they respawn.
Oh,
And that would work so well with the deck.
Yeah.
But, hindsight is 2020.
Oh, yeah, that is a good point. Yeah, that would be a perfect fit. Huh. Yeah. I don't know. It's like the most common thing in every RPG video game is that you lose a party member, you drag them back to the chapel above ground, you revive them, and then you go back down. Like to have a story that sort of incorporates that and takes that through some of the logical steps was just so satisfying to me.
Mm-hmm.
You had like not Kamigawa but a different plane, Ayakama, is that right?
Your guess is as good as mine. But yeah, Ayakama. It was so basically what I envisioned for Ayakama was it was kind of going to be like similar to Kamigawa in that there's like these spirits wandering around the mortal plane. Yeah. They wouldn't be able to show up normally. They'd have to like in spirit an artifact or some sort of relic to appear and speak to mortals.
Yeah,
and that would be in the past for the first set. Ayakama past, and then we would jump like 1,000 years in the future for Ayakama future, and now we have spirits inhabiting these like robotic titans and battling each other and stuff. And it could be like dichotomy there. We have a little hint of artifact matters in the past, and then it really jumps up in the future.
Oh, okay. Huh. That's cool. I was also sort of thinking, I don't know if this was part of your plan, but looking at some of the cards, I was sort of thinking, are some of these planes doomed? And the idea is that Zotan is going to come and just like absolutely crush Ayakama. And that's why it's like a little bit of a Kamigawa, because we don't want to destroy actual Kamigawa, but we're okay with destroying Aya. I don't know. Maybe that's not what your intent was, but
honestly, I didn't think of that, but I love that. And I would absolutely do that if given the chance, because that would be hilarious.
You have some kind of red.
Here's this new plane and it's gone.
Was it red shirt in Star Trek? If you're a red shirt cadet, then you're probably not surviving that the away mission. We got some red shirt planes.
Yeah,
a plane of red shirt. Yeah, exactly. That's good. Do you have anything that you didn't use from what you were? I mean, you both went through a lot of revisions, but anything stand out of cards you were kind of close to using or something like that?
I think there was one major design that I just completely cut from the file. Yeah. There was a card in my final submission called Nullborn Ronin, and there was a version of that earlier that was, let me pull up the picture. Okay, I got it. So it was called Nullborn Ronin. It was 3, a black and a red for a 4/4, and it said, at the beginning of your end step, each opponent who was dealt damage by a source you controlled this turn loses 4 life unless they have you draw 2 cards and create 2 treasure tokens. Yeah, it was a little insane. Yeah. It was kind of like a repeatable browbeat, if you're familiar with that, yeah. The whole point was that it was like it's making treasure tokens and drawing cards, so you're getting your sacrifice fodder and your late game reef.
Well, we have a lot of these like torment cards where you like discard a card or sack a creature or lose some life. But here, yeah, you're more in the Punisher zone of like either you lose some stuff or I gain some stuff.
Yeah, either way, it's not going well for you.
Yeah. I think I also wanted to, while we have both of you together, maybe like also because both of you know each other's submissions and like I've read both of the submissions a lot by this point. I wanted to kind of give you guys a chance to say like, if I went back, here's some things I would do, and then like collaborate a little bit here on the pod to kind of think through those ideas. So maybe Brad, if you want to kick it off with one of the things that you would, I don't know, after hearing some of the feedback, some of the changes you might make.
One of the biggest things was when I settled on Candy Goyf, caring about evergreen keywords. It didn't really strike me at the time, but now it's clear. It's like this deck has sort of now become caring about keywords and artifacts at the same time, and I think that was a big mistake. I was caught up in just like trying to fit the nostalgia theme with the Candy Goy. So I would like go and change this whole keyword caring about thing.
Yeah. Do you have an idea of where you might go with that, or Prov? Do you have an idea of where to go? Let's keep Candy Goif as a concept. What else are we doing?
You could mess around with the you could use instrument tokens to like grant keywords maybe, and that way you would have like a bigger pool for Candy Goif to pull from.
Oh, so if you have Candy Goif, you just spray out a bunch of these different instruments. The bassist instrument like gives vigilance, the drummer instrument gives something else.
Exactly.
And you leave them around if you have Candy Goif, but if you don't have Candy Goif, you eat all those tokens to feed your monsters.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah, if we're not changing anything with what we have, yeah, that would be great because that would also synergize with Zoe, the legendary creature that I have in the submission that wants you to sacrifice instruments. Then it'd be great to have a bunch of those different basic instruments to eat up.
Yeah, because you had like sort of instruments that were, or the concept was like, it's giving you an ability and you can kind of grant that ability to other creatures instead of yourself. You can sit on the sidelines and give someone else an ability. Maybe try to get a couple of those down to like rolls and Eldraine, where it's just like a token that has just enough rules text on it to function and an excuse to get a lot of different keywords. Were you thinking something else with that, or Brad, or what were you thinking about?
Yeah, I think that is that like rolls is a great suggestion. The ability word that I kind of tagged on to go and help convey, like battle music is what I called it, to try to consolidate all those lines of text that were written out. I think that's kind of a very raw early version of instrument concept. I think if you just kind of tucked away into the comprehensive rules like rolls do, that would be a good way to clean up a bunch of the text on it.
So you could just say battle music - trample. And that just, the reminder text tells you, while this is equipped to a creature, when it attacks, it can either give itself trample or it can not attack and give something else trample. Like it could just be, one little chunk of text, and then tokens can just say battle music +2/+0.
Beautiful. Yeah, that sounds wonderful. So for Builder-Bear, actually, this is funny. One of the late changes became like a thing that a point of confusion with the judges, which is Builder-Bear didn't used to care about giving bonuses to artifact creatures in general, just toys, so that it was just more self-contained. But then I thought, oh, well, I already have like a Terminator artifact creature. And then I just kind of threw in the artifact dragon. I was like, let me change it so that it kind of synergizes with just a couple more cards, but it's not supposed to be the focus. But then it became like, well, if this is Builder-Bear, I realize now, like if the deck is named after Builder-Bear, then since it says artifact creatures, then definitely I think there should be more maybe artifact creatures. If I could change it, I would maybe change it to not care about artifact creatures as much as just artifacts in general.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Builder-Bear like makes a little toy token, and then can give counters to artifact creatures. But we're sort of saying, like, I remember thinking this, like, how many artifact creatures are there really? Am I really using this ability? Like it is kind of confusing because you expect it to be on like 8 cards in the deck. But that's not what you were shooting for. You were just shooting for like kind of a self-contained thing that everybody else would orbit around.
Yeah, it was more like the vehicle of like, hey, this plush has vigilance and this plush has trample, and then the Candy Goif sees all your different toys having these keywords and is like, oh, great, it can attack for a lot. So I guess maybe a V2 of this deck could be both Builder-Bear and all the instrument tokens that we make, like that are rolls. Those both contribute a bunch of keywords for Candy Goif.
Oh, okay.
But now it's not an artifact sacrifice deck anymore. So it's like, whoops.
Yeah. Well, I guess maybe this is sometimes you get the thing where like the interaction between these two cards is so good. You'd have to be kind of tuned up to be that good. But if the interaction between those two cards was so good that that's what you wanted to do when you had the opportunity to, but if you couldn't, your sort of backup was that you were just eating the instruments. You're just eating the toys and doing something with them.
There you go.
All right, Prov, you mentioned a little bit of what you might do, but what were you thinking?
Oh man, how would I change my set? Oh. I think the main thing I would probably do is lean in a little more on artifact creatures to kind of be the inverse of Bradley here. There was definitely some cards in the pack that cared about artifact creatures. Like, for example, I had Altar to Sacrifice, or Altar to Perfection, which said when it enters, it can bait 3, and then whenever an artifact creature you control attacks, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. And like, that sounds pretty decent on its front face, but when you actually go through my pack, there's not that many artifact creatures without having Builder-Bear already on the battlefield. So you kind of just like floundered if you didn't have the Builder-Bear.
Yeah. So find a way, I guess, with the dungeon meshy world, getting artifact creatures might be a little tough. Though maybe you just have some new flavor. You have, some of the members of the party are little Warforged, little golem people, little robot people.
For sure, you could do that literally just like little helper guys.
Yeah. Oh, that is cute.
Like maybe they carry all the weapons in like a little backpack or something and follow you around. Something whimsical.
What if they're just like a lower body that's like a little robot creature? The top is just like a golf bag where you could pull your axe out.
Oh, that's great.
What about a artifact creature that's also a relay?
Oh,
like a living relay. They can maybe do that.
Yeah, because
be cool. Yeah,
we got a couple clue creatures. Let's make a relay creature. What do you conceive of if I looked at a relay? What's the token look like?
So I imagine this was like the Aztec set, right?
Sure.
So there'd be like a lot of like maybe jade influence. So I was imagining like a jade pillar that had like these like glowing harmonic waves around it with the implication that it's like magically connected to these other pillars.
Like a magical radio tower.
Yeah, pretty much.
But it might be like 10 feet tall or something like that.
For sure, yeah.
Okay. You got Altar Perfection. Maybe you tweak a little bit. What else maybe could you do to get some artifact creatures in there? What were you thinking?
I could probably like trim one of the removal spells. I think there was definitely maybe a few too many. I mean, Jund is known for having a pretty good selection of removal, but I think I might have had just like a couple too many and just like fit a couple more like just generic artifact creature. I'm here to get like sacrificed, right? Like, just like the guy who dies and he makes another token. I was kind of lacking that effect here.
Something that can block if another deck is faster than you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you turn maybe, this is just an easy, cheap change, is that your mythic is a Phyrexian. Yeah, I think there's artifact Phyrexians, right? Am I misremembering? You could just say it's an artifact creature now. Just kind of cheat.
Yeah, that would probably be an easy change to make, yeah.
Yeah, not exciting, but
yeah.
It would work.
Yeah.
Maybe we can also, I don't know, we got a little bit of time if you guys are up for it. What's another mechanic that could arise from the flavor of one of these sets? Can we come up with something for each of your planes of what? Maybe I'll try to jump in on this too. What else are we putting into Indisparry? What else are we putting into Caves of Volto to make those sets fun? Maybe outside of Builder-Bear.
Oh, I had no mechanics. That came from Tubular Times at Galaxy Mall. Brawl Stadia had the applause counters and instruments, and Desperate had Spillblood. So that's where I'm thinking right now is some kind of mechanic that made it make sense for the 80s, 90s time, maybe. Maybe
buying things? Is that like a...
Oh, it's a mall. Yeah, That's right. I did have an iteration of... I think Builder-Bear had a mechanic that said, like, whenever you shop or something like that. And shopping would be like you sacrificed a treasure or you did something or something, whatever, and you gained an item. I don't know. So that's a good one. You can key off of the mall.
Maybe like browsing. Browsing could probably translate to Magic pretty well. Like, you're looking at a bunch of different stores and you're picking what you want.
Mm-hmm. Or like, hang out. You can go to the food court. You do the mechanic hang out. Whenever you hang out, maybe you have like 3 creatures that are together somehow.
Probably got anything for mall? What other tropes do we want to hit from the mall?
Oof, the mall is tough. You could maybe like lean into like mall food.
Yeah.
Like they have the big food courts, right? So like maybe you could do something with food tokens. Like... Oh, this is tough.
I guess like the candy goif came to life. Is there other food food creatures or food they're running around? Someone's animated the food and now they're just tearing around the mall,
Hey,
causing
look,
trouble.
it's
Yeah.
it's the Monster Hot Topic, but it's they're hot like as in the spicy food. I don't know.
Maybe you gotta
Eh,
faction up, or you gotta color pair up on different like stereotypical mall stores. You got like the kind of gothy, rocky, Hot Topic people. You got what else we got? Like a REI, like outdoorsman
Oh
kind of
yeah,
climber, athletic stuff.
Abercrombie and Fitch or whatever. Some nice clothing, fashionable click. And,
It's a good time.
so that could be different keywords, maybe,
Yeah.
if you want to still go off of the Candy Goif thing.
Yeah.
Because the Ikoria set had like maybe more limited archetypes that if you have a bunch of vigilance creatures or if you have a bunch of trample creatures, you have these rewards.
Yeah. Maybe it's getting too close to your instruments, but like changing clothes and buying different clothes at the mall does also kind of convey him getting different abilities and getting different keywords.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You can do like keyword counters and like pass them around your creatures. Maybe like a level up mechanic that gives you keywords. Something to play into that.
Yeah. Rewards card. Is that your level up?
There you go.
Oh no.
Your Visa.
Yeah.
Galaxy Mall. I don't know. It's just, what's the tubular times? That makes me feel like there's a lot of transportation or movement. Water slide. I don't know why. Tubular.
Yeah. I don't know if this is just of the times or if this is always an evergreen thing, but when your friend is like, oh man, let's go and like hit out the mall, let's go and like, they won't know what hit them. We're gonna get there and then we're gonna cause a mess or something like that. So those are the tubular times. You might put on your rollerblades and go grinding on those stairway rails.
As a security guard.
Yeah. I try to outrun the security guard. Things like that were kind of typical of like the stories in the movies that you would see of those times. They're like, we're just having a cool time going around. So that was evocative of that tubular time. So the kind of like conflicts there would be like kind of like Strixhaven's, where it's like, okay, you might have to worry about bullies or you worry about getting caught, like by the guard. Yeah, and then Galaxy Mall was just like, I just needed a word that felt like that time. And I think Galaxy kind of maybe got there. You just had like neon light play. Yeah,
I like it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what are we trying to dive into for Prov here? Where are we adding a mechanic?
I've been in the can on this for like the last couple of minutes thinking about it.
Oh, okay.
Maybe for like Cirque du Terror, you could do like a madness variant, right? But instead of discarding, now we're like maybe casting the spell if you mill it or surveil it or something like that. So it's kind of like, this is kind of like madness, but it's a fresh spin, right?
That does sound kind of fun. Yeah, we're trying to self-mill, but it's not quite late game. We're trying to do it right now. We're trying to, get a card in our graveyard and then use it right away. We don't need to wait for it to build up.
Mm-hmm.
Is this actually like Circus World? Like, is that sort of what you're thinking?
Maybe like evil Circus World. I mean, it could be. I mean, circuses are inherently already pretty spooky, just from all the clowns and potential animal abuse. But like, maybe we lean into that a little more.
Evil Circus World. Yeah. Okay.
Maybe going into like the acts and sagas. Maybe we've had Dominaria United, I think, or is it Dominaria? One of those two sets had like a read ahead mechanic.
Yeah.
Maybe we can have like some kind of keyword that goes into sagas, that like culmination or prestige or showstopper or whatever it is.
Oh, showstopper. I like that.
Maybe
you can have like these chapter abilities, but you can like stop it at any time and continue to like trigger that same chapter over and over every turn. So that's the showstopper. That's the big one. They want the encore.
You could move forward in it if you want to, but you can also stay there if you want to.
Right, yeah.
Huh. I was thinking like a showstopper or like a finale is sort of like a smaller storm. Hey, I'm trying to get to 3 spells in a turn, and then the third spell can showstopper, can be extra huge if you lead up to it.
Oh, I like that too. That's fun.
maybe it's possible. Alrighty. Anything else about this process? Do you feel like having your own channel, was that fun interacting with people? Was that a big part of it for you?
It was really fun to like just talk with everyone. I mean, for this challenge, we were assigned one of either the winner or the runner up from last season, and I got Platy People, and it was just such a blast to like send out these things. We would all get in there and talk about it, and we would like see where there might be like faults with the design, how it interacted with all the other cards, and it was just like we had people popping in and just like going, "Oh, this is cool," or "Oh, this has this issue," and it was just a really fun process to like go back and scroll through and see like the sprawling discussions that happened.
Do you have a sense? This is something I'm trying to learn about Discord. Like, what was the easiest way for that interaction to happen? Did you want to like wake up and see like a big post with like, here's my feedback on all the cards at once? Are you looking to have like a live conversation back and forth? Like, what works best for you?
For me personally, I prefer the live back and forth. I mean, it's nice seeing like someone have all their thoughts in order and like have a perfect bolded list, but like also just seeing like the gut reaction to your card is so invaluable, because like you get like designer blind after a little because you've tinkered with it so much, and you don't have like the fresh view of the final product that you're submitting to the judges, right?
Yeah.
It's good to see someone come in and be like, snap their fingers and see like, yeah, that's wrong, you need to fix that, or yes, this hits really hard.
Yeah. How about you, Brad? Are you like, because you're already kind of used to the sort of blog style, hey, I'm going to design a thing from October, here are my thoughts during that. Are you looking for that? Are you looking for the longer interaction? What works well for you? I guess I'm kind of curious about that.
I kind of use the Design League as maybe a little bit of an experiment / an exhibition of like my design process. Like the blog posts, I'm used to writing a bunch, and as you can see with the thread count, message count, it was like hundreds would be in my threads. But I wanted to try for Design League, any thought I had in my head, like at the time, where feasible, I would just write it out onto the design thread, and just I wanted to see, like, have people see what it was like as my stream of consciousness was going. So that was like a nice, and I wanted to see what would happen if I wrote it out like that, because when I design on my own, I don't write out everything I'm thinking. I think it did help me to kind of keep me on like maybe if you imagine in your mind, a lot of your thought process is a bunch of just jumbly of things you're trying to hold in your hands, and they kind of like some thoughts may slip through your fingers, and so just writing out everything you think, I think kind of catches all that.
I mean, it's like nice as a record too. There definitely been times where I go back and read something from years ago that I wrote, and I'm like, I don't even remember being that person. Like it's so, you forget it so thoroughly that it's almost like someone else wrote it.
Yeah, and when it came to working with others, it was a blast whenever someone would go and comment on those on whatever I was sharing. But my partner for the finals, Ludos, shout out to Ludos. I was kind of forced into that back and forth that you suggested as one option, where someone just has a bunch of notes, because Ludos is in a much different time zone than I am. So when I would go to bed, Ludos is waking up and then seeing all my stuff and just kind of give feedback. And it kind of helped. We already had a little bit of rapport before, so maybe that helps with the comfort of like giving me critical feedback, which worked great.
Do you think you'd enjoy doing that kind of work again? Working in the thread, working together, it only takes a week, not a long-term thing. Is that like a fun way to work on some other project?
I think I would modify it, but like less stream of consciousness. It feels, I felt more likely to do that because it was just my thing that I'm working on. But if I were to collaborate with others, I don't want to overwhelm the all the text going on, unless they're if we were both on the same page, I guess let's both stream of consciousness this. But it might take a lot of time to read through. So I might modify it to be more blog post style. There is a Design League thing I wanted to mention as well. I absolutely enjoyed seeing in the finals, and I know it's already mentioned in the Design League channel, the contrast of someone who doesn't use art for cards, and Prov, it looks like you start with art. I think that was a wonderful demonstration of how like both approaches can create some very interesting designs that can get through to the finals.
Prov, do you basically not start designing until you have art? Like, how does that work for you?
What I like to do is I like to first start with like one art piece, one card, and then after that I go out and collect more art that could like work with that one card that I have already, and then I fill in the cards from there. But like I kind of want to start with like flavor theme first.
Yeah. And are you just browsing ArtStation and DeviantArt all day? Like, do you have any tips on there?
Pretty much. I have like 1,000 pictures backed up by this point of just like stuff I may want to do in the future. So it's always good to browse like ArtStation. Kara is a new one that's really good.
What was that?
Kara, it's similar to ArtStation. It's very, but it's new. Got a lot of good pictures on there if you're ever looking to art your cards.
Kara, like Kara, how's that spelled?
I think it's Cara.
Oh yeah, Kara.app. Hadn't heard of it. Cool. It's only 20 months old. That's incredible.
Yeah, it's real new.
Yeah. Awesome. When I'm judging, usually the art's cool when I see it, but I kind of have to just be responsible for like the text that's on the card, if that makes sense. So I think, I don't know, when it's scoring, I don't think we're supposed to favor an arted card over just like a text card. What do you guys think? Should we be asking for art, or maybe some challenges require art? How should that be judged?
I think art is a great, like the double-edged sword. I think it was suggested before. I don't know if it was a previous Design League or a different like type of contest, but when you decide to use the art, it can be an opportunity to both help you or hurt you convey the concept of your card. So if it doesn't feel like it matches what magic is or what your concept is doing, it can hurt you. Or if it does match what your card is going to, and then it can help reinforce. Yeah. So I mean, if there's no if the challenge isn't based around art, I think art-based challenges is great. But yeah, if it's not based around it, use it or not.
Maybe we got to recruit Prov for an art challenge. Give us some premium arts and premium concepts, and then people have to design around it. How's that sound?
That could be fun, yeah.
All right, we'll keep that in mind. I think that'll be it for our coverage of Design League 3. Very excited about it. We'll have another one someday, probably not right away. It takes a little while to prep these. But if you do want to submit something, if you do want to work something, you want to participate with Beacon, one of the ways to do that is our monthly challenge. For September, we've got a new challenge, To the Nines, design an equipment card that doesn't use the equip ability. So it has to have some other way to attach. Bonus points, the clothes make the man. The equipment overrides some characteristic of the attached permanent. So, it changes its creature type, changes its text box, its name, something like that. The other bonus point here, get on my good side. If it affects power and toughness, it does so unevenly. So +4/+1 instead of +2/2, not the same amount. The inspiration here, we just had like a playtest card that's Avison's Collar. And this is sort of a pacifism equipment. But it has Shackle attached to target creature you don't control. Shackle is a sorcery. When you think of this challenge, just like what occurs to you, what's like your first impression of what you might do with this kind of challenge?
D&D sometimes has like cursed items. And I know it's usually like you have to be the one to initiate it, to be like, oh, now you're stuck after having like picked it up or worn it. But maybe it doesn't look like an equipment at first, maybe, but then it grafts onto you just by hanging around you. It's
like a trap or a face down card or something like that. And then the wrong thing happens, and whoops, I've got a cursed axe that demands this of me.
Oh yeah. Block this face down, and then it flips up and it attaches to it or something. Yeah.
Fun flavor. I like that. Yeah. I think off the top of my head, I would probably do something like maybe with the Kaldheim gods and their magical weapons. Like maybe when they die, they become an equipment and attached to a creature, and then you have to hit the opponent to make them become a god again. Something like that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. We've had different gods with different like comeback mechanics. Like, like there were some of the Was it Amonkhet gods or was it the evil versions of them where they would like tuck back a couple cards deep into your deck? And that's a way for your god to come back.
I think that was the War of the Spark versions of them, where they were zombies.
Yeah. They could be indestructible, but we already have a lot of indestructible gods. Yeah, maybe it gives you a quest to bring it back. Thor is struck down, and then you have to grab Thor's hammer, and you have to charge into battle and hit your opponent, and then Thor lives again.
That's super cool.
Alrighty, if you want to enter that, that'll be due on September 27th. We also have You Make the Pack going on. This is another live thing. You want to chat a lot. You want to design some cards. You want to get a bunch of feedback on cards. We're making a pack one card at a time. We've got while we're recording this, we're on the second slot, but when this goes up, we'll probably be on 5 or 6. Everyone submits a card, vote on it, lock in a card. Everyone submits cards, vote on it, lock in a card. It's one at a time. It's kind of fun. People want to make a realistic pack. They want to make a cool pack that feels like one that you could open from a real set. So that's another good way to stay participating in Beacon stuff. It's like spoiler season every day. I could just read 20 new Magic cards made up by people I know every day. You can just surf on that all the time. But yeah, that'll be it for our show for the week. Hop on that Discord. That's where all the action is. Thanks again for coming on, you two.
Hey, thanks for having me.
It was a pleasure.
Anything you want to plug before we get out of here? This could be your own stuff, or this could be, just stuff that you like.
Yeah. Lately, I've been streaming on Twitch at Bradley Rose. Although during the summer, I've been taking a sort of summer vacation. But I'll be back on there. I guess my social that I use most, but still sparsely, is Instagram. So find me at Wacket Monsters, Wacket Monsters.
Oh, this is Waluigi, is that right?
Yeah, my handle is named after the why I opened that account. Waluigiized Pokemon drawings. So you just take whatever Pokemon, like Ivysaur, and it'd be Wavisaur. And it's just a bunch of Waluigi faces or mustaches or whatever on these Pokemon drawings.
I'm looking at a Waluigi Gengar and I got a smile on my face.
Yeah, yeah. So my early posts have that. You might have to go back a ways, but
okay.
My day-to-day life stuff is still on there.
Mm-hmm.
There's a link there too if you like cats. I got a link to the other Instagram account for my cat there.
Mm-hmm.
/ Piccolo's Lookout. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, your little kitten Piccolo.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
I am currently a mega fan of soccer right now and the World Cup qualifiers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the World Cup qualifiers are happening right now. It's a really good tournament so far.
World Cup qualifier. That's like all the national teams, right?
Yep. All the national teams that are, planning on going in 2026.
Are there countries you're specifically rooting for? I don't know that much about soccer, so I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. I get it. I mean, obviously USA is a good one because that's where I am, but also I'm rooting for Argentina because that's where I was born.
Oh.
And they did win the last one, so I kind of hoping to keep the streak going, but we'll see.
Oh, okay. Are they the favorites? They are
the favorites right now, yeah.
Awesome. So you got a good shot. Mm-hmm. Who's the star? Oh, Messi? Is he still playing?
It's still Messi. He'll be playing forever, I think.
Oh, okay. Wow, I actually knew a soccer thing. I'm patting myself on the
Good job.
That's just all streaming these days?
Yeah, you can pretty much find it on any streaming service, I think.
Cool, get a little soccer going. Maybe I have to learn a little bit about soccer. I love that the games are short. That's just the best thing about soccer. Mm-hmm. It's just 90 minutes and you're done. Alrighty. Well, look all that stuff up and maybe enjoy that kind of stuff. If you need to find us, we're all in the Beacon Discord. I'm at Tim F. Riley. Find Bradley Rose and Provocative there as well. But most of all, thanks for listening.
So, Year of the Dragon this year was an opportunity for the original Dragon Ball.
Oh, hell yeah.
The very first time that you see Piccolo appear when he has already been reincarnated, and then grown up, he is saving a kid from like harm, but then also like after he's doing that, he steps away and crushes his toy. He's not a nice guy, but he's a good guy. Like, and I just like that was a perfect intro. Yeah,
saves a person, then crushes their toy. What a
yeah, like the trivialities. It's what's important is you're alive. Yeah, but I'm gonna take over the world. I need you alive so I can. Yeah, I don't know. It was great.
What a duality. Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of want to watch it again. I just watched it last year, but I love it so much. I didn't know I'd love it so much.
What's your favorite thing then, or surprise?
I kind of like when Goku is sort of like a reverse horror movie monster, but he's like a 10-year-old. All of his friends just think, oh, look at this goofball kid who just loves martial arts or whatever.
Yeah.
They're like going to catch up with Goku, and they're like, but of course Goku's fast, and he's coming back from having obliterated a military base. And he's like, hey guys, what are you doing? He's like, oh, we're here to help you with I already destroyed that whole thing. It's like, what?